Check 1 2, check 1 2. Can you hear me? Check 1 2, check 1 2. Can you hear me? Press 7 if you can hear me. We got a guest, Brother Kev. And the brother, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to this presentation. I love to bring, I'm gonna talk to you in a second. I love to bring brothers, sisters to the channel that gives a different perspective, even agreeable perspective to what we talk about here on Morris World TV. In this sense, we got Brother Kev, and he's about to bring, which is pretty much agreeable perspective. Here on Morris World TV. Now, let me give a disclaimer. I create the title. You follow what I'm saying? I create the title, and in that title,
We lost.
I create the title, and in that title, I push the narrative of the title. But when I talk to somebody, like when a pre-interview, when I talk to somebody with in a pre-interview and and see what they're going to bring to the table, I still kind of push the limit on the title now. But I want to say that this title does not necessarily represent everything that the brother may present. It really represent the theme of the show in which we was discussing. And we're doing a kind of a series about Africans in America claiming to be Native American, Indian, et cetera, et cetera. So the title says Africans in America are not American Indians. And I say that emphatically, even from the term America is a fairly new term. You know what I mean? We are ancient people. You know what I mean? So for one to use the term, at least trace the lineage of the term. If you saying Americo Vespucci's, or you saying Amir, or whatever you want to choose in this day and time, I mean, it's all good with me, but it's still a fairly new term. It's a fairly new term. One might say that about Moor, but I pretty much can trace the term Moor back to Medunecha, and I'm comfortable with that. But I don't know if the brother feel exactly the same way as the title, but we're going to see in a minute. I need everybody, let me look over here at the chat. I need everybody to get their thumbs up on this one. I mean, I need everybody to get their thumbs up, because let me tell you, it's a brother right now that's doing the show, Aboriginal Power. He was on the show in the chat just the other day when we was doing the other presentation, and he was in the chat, and I said, that's my bro. But now hold up, Aboriginal Power, bro, you cannot do a whole video with my video. I'm gonna tell you off the break. I'm gonna strike your channel. I don't want you to take my 2 hours of talking and use it for your 2 hours. Nah, it's not gonna work like that. You can take my talking points, you can clip my video, but bro, you got me talking for 20 and 30-minute clips. Come on, bro. Nah, bro, you're not gonna take my 2 hours taken from my family communicating with the citizens, and you're going to take our time to replay that 20 and 30 minutes a clip. Nah, bro, I'm going to have to bold these pins. I love you, my brother, but you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that, brother. You're not going to be able to do that. You can take clips and refute something I said, but bro, 20 and 30 minutes of me talking? Nah, if I see it up there tomorrow, I'm taking it down, brother. I got to do it. I got to do it. You know what I mean? I don't mind. I don't mind you using clips and refuting or rebutting my videos. But bro, I was getting the show together, and I'm like, somebody sent me the link. And so I hit the link, and I'm like, bro, for the last 15, 20 minutes, It's just me talking. And then the crazies in the your crazy little audience, they in there like hee, hee. I'm like, it's just me talking. I said, cook goodness and gracious. I said, cook goodness and gracious. Nah, brother, we ain't going down like that. You can call it what you want. If I see it up there tomorrow, I'm pulling it down. I'm pulling it down. I don't mind you refuting. You know what I mean? I don't mind at all you refuting anything that I put up. But take the clip and then show me where it's wrong. That's all you got to do. But you're not gonna have me up there talking for 30 and 40 minutes and your little Indian crew kikiing. Not over here, bro. Not over here. Call it what you want. Call it what you want. I invited any Indian that want to come here. Any Indian that want to come here. It doesn't matter to me. Somebody, Patrick Gabriel, say, "Oh, we coming." You welcome. You're welcome to come. You're well. Yeah, they was listening to me talk, right? And they were saying, "Look at the nose. Look at his nose." Like what? Like somebody in there's like, he don't even sound like a Moor. What do a Moor sound like? He don't, and that's the problem. You want to cookie cut our people. But we don't let you cookie cut our people. You don't let you cookie cut our people to putting feathers on or putting fezzes on or put unks on. I just played the song. You think we divided because I wear fez, he wear unk, and he wear dreads. See, we don't let you divide. See, we started multicultures. We are the originator of culture. You understand what I'm saying? So whether unk, whether fez, whether cross, whether whatever, we originated it all. You see? Even the feathers. That comes out at the east. Before we can get into the west, I asked the question before. I said, what is the oldest civilization according to carbon data that we know thus far? I mean, we can start right there. Now, the whole thing is this. I want to say this. I want to be clear because a lot of my Indian brothers and sisters, it seems to me that they didn't put the whole totem pole into their ear and they can't hear. The totem pole is not a Q-tip. Get the totem pole out your ear so you can hear. I'm going to say it again. I'm not saying that our people were not here at some period of time, dominating here, even traded here. I'm saying that the American Indian that you claiming to be a part of is not you. I'm saying that you're ambiguously grabbing straws and pitchers, but you know and I know that you grew up just like many of us. You didn't grow up knowing anything about a TP. You didn't grow up knowing anything about a sweat lodge. You didn't grow up knowing anything about Indian culture. You knew as much about Indian culture as I knew about indigenous African culture. And the reason why? Because you are a product of slavery here in America that was perpetuated by Europeans and as well as the Native Americans that you call Indians. You follow me? So many of y'all, where grandma said you got Indian in your family, records and historical records will prove that many of our people escaped from slavery and joined into tribes. Many records will prove, many records will prove that Indians held Africans as slaves, married and bore children or bad children. Many records will prove that at most, you cannot prove more than 3% of Native American blood. Now, one thing about me, I don't hold anything that the European put to the table as the end all and be all. But if you're going to hold oil paintings as evidence that that's you, then by all means, hey, we can throw it all to the table then. What grandma? Grandma, if listen to me. My name is Toronto. Let me look at this one though. My name is Toronto. You right? My name is Toronto. That is a real indigenous American name, if you will, the term America. It's my name. I was born with this name. So Brian and Nantucket and all of y'all who changed your name, I was born with this name. That's the difference. So I know how to do a sweat lodge. I know how to do a powwow. I know more than what you think I know. But I also know history. I also know history. And I know that many of our foreparents was adopted into tribes, was taken as slaves into tribes, and even formed alliances with tribes. But they were still Africans. You know what I mean? That's right. Now listen. This is why I'm saying I'm using the term American. So, the Indian culture people, 1 minute it's American Indian, the next minute is Native, the next minute is Aboriginal, the next minute is this, the next minute is that. I'm telling you, my name is Toronto by birth, Tahaka by YouTube and spiritual unfoldment. But I still am legally Toronto. You hear what I say? Toronto Johnson Bay. You understand what I'm saying? So we can get this off to a good start. Now, I'm finished talking. I got a brother on the show that is ready to come and show and prove. He said, AP want to debate, forget the small talk. We can set up the debate. Let's set up the parameters of the debate. We can set up the parameters of the debate. No problem. Just email me at Moorish World MWTV updates and we can set up the debate. All right? We can set up the debate. But y'all ready to get started? We're not dropping no link tonight. I don't do my shows like that. We don't do this on the fly. I got a guest and he's going to drop some science on you. All right? All right. So call all your Indians that was watching me. Y'all didn't watch me for a whole hour, and now y'all gonna come and watch me for another hour. And I'm crazy. Yeah. Original Power played my video straight through. Never refuted anything. And y'all kikied and laughed. I said, look at this mess. But then you come right over here and watch me again. Go and bathe somewhere. Like the old country folks say, go and bathe somewhere. Go and bathe. I'm saying that you are not the Indian that you're connecting to from the 17 and 1800s. And I can prove who they were. I want to be clear. The pictures that you got don't represent that era of time. The oil paintings that you got, those are Africans that European put Indian feathers on. Most of them, and in fact, if you research the origin of a lot of these pictures, they will tell you that's what they're doing. They will tell you. But anyway, family, I'm not saying we wasn't here in the 17 and 1800s. I'm saying that majority of the ones that was here in the 17 and 1800s was pale looking, red looking, some copper tone, but pretty much looking like an Eskimo. Many of them. But anyway, enough of what I got to say. You know what I mean? Y'all don't want to believe me. So I'm going to bring in my bro. and we go just let it get started. I can't wait for this. I'm about to sit back, Jimmy. I'm about to sit back and let it do what it do. I'm about to. Indians are coming.
I be that boy you gon' remember. I'ma be that boy you gon' remember.
Get on the door.
I be that boy you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that boy you gon' remember. I'ma be that boy you gon' remember. That's right. I be that boy you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. If you a friend of the Moors, then you a friend of mine. I was told to watch my enemies, now hold my line. Those that speak against the prophet, they speak against me. And I'm speaking about the prophet over Drew Ali, who was the first to remind you and bind you back to Morocco, the mountains, Mississippi, and Quebec. Told you you wasn't black, proved it with straight facts. You tripping off trunks, you need to be tripping off that. Now here we go again, acting like you a slave. The same people talk European how to bathe, and looking at women buying European hair. No love for self, but do the men really care? Hell no, cause they got a love for Europe. Whole generation chasing pills, weed and syrup. Yeah, they love Lil Yachty, Tucci, Gucci, Kodak, Amigos, Ross, Lucid. But when the love for the woman look like your mother, I guess they say it's all black when it's under the cover. Now cypher, I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember, that's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember, that's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. All you super scholars holler, this era for the workers. You ain't building on the ground, then you worse than a twerker. You look and sound good, but that's only on the surface. Probably working for them people. Now tell me what's your purpose. Ain't worried about your homie, but know that I know every mo that rock a fast. He ain't my bro. Yeah, you know I ain't slow. I seen it all before. How they try to kill the prophet, it was all for dough. And some got it right now. Don't say that I'm not down. I'm coming for my vast estate. I want my town, my sheriff, my stores, my school, my nation. Sick and tired of the procrastination and debate. Y'all keep hating when love is the savior. You don't love yourself, so you can't love your neighbor. That's why you kill and fight and marry out of your race. If you ain't for Moorish world, then get out of my face. Cause Chinese love China, Italians love Italy. If you used to love the Moorish world, come on and build it with me. Let's go. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember, that's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember, that's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. Be more. I be that more you gon' remember. That time. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. LA. I be that more you gon' remember. New York. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number.
Welcome to another edition of Morse World TV. Welcome to another edition of Morse World TV. Can you hear me? Check one, check two. I want to make sure that you can hear me. Can you hear me? Check one, check two. Check one, check two.
I can hear you, brother. I can hear you.
All right. I want to make sure the audience to hear me. Look. Hey, now, hey, Brother Kev, that the Indians are on deck. Let me tell you, they are in here heavy as a Chevy.
Understood.
But with that being said, we are in the building too. And with that being said, I want you real quick, brother, real briefly. I'm looking forward to you demonstrate your presentation. Brother, can you just give us a brief one over of who you are and how you come into this knowledge and what you're going to share with us tonight? Because I think you're going to be like the good doctor that come on the show from Baltimore, Dr. Asar. I think I got to bring you on here and help build up your channel, bro. Because what we talked about earlier, I really can appreciate it. But with that being said, brother, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, hey, just want to say thank you, brother, for allowing me to bless your platform, with some of this information that I've acquired. So basically, brother, I kind of got started on this road, man, doing my own genealogy research. I've been, researching my personal genealogy for a better part of 20 years, man. In addition to, all the different roads I travel trying to acquire knowledge of self. But in that knowledge of self, wanting to know exactly who I specifically was, meaning, where did I come from, who my ancestors were. So started off just like most people, just doing genealogy research, utilizing tools on the internet, ancestry.com, things of that nature. Once I built up my family tree and started to connect some dots, I wanted to dive further into that research, right? So I started doing the genetic testing. I know a lot of the people in the Aboriginal community have issues or don't believe that genetic testing is authentic. And we could talk about that a little bit later on in the presentation, but that's the route I went. Started initially doing some genetic testing, so I tested with a few companies, and then the big kind of a breakthrough came through when I decided to do African ancestry DNA. Right, so I did African ancestry DNA, and what that and how that differs from the ancestry.com and the 23andMe's is those tests are autosomal DNA tests, right? So they test everything you got, your entire genetic makeup, right? What the ancestry DNA test does is it'll test your lineage, basically. So if you're a man, it'll test your male chromosome, what makes you a male. So it'll test your father's 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 father all the way back, because that does not get broken, right? So I pass on my genetics, my genetic code, my X to my son, to his son, to his son, to his son, and it goes all the way back 2,000 years, right? Same with the woman. She can do her mitochondria, her mtDNA, right? All the way back to her mother's, right? 2,000 years, right? So what I discovered on that test is yes, indeed, what I always knew is that my ancestry did come from Africa. It pinpointed it to a specific location in a specific tribe. So my people maternally, paternally, my father's ancestry descends from a group of people called the Balanta people, who are currently found in the Senegambia region of West Africa, primarily Guinea-Bissau. I can talk about them all day, man. The Balanta was some fierce individuals, some fierce warriors. Balanta actually is a Mandinka word for those who resist, right? And they got that name, those who resist, because they resisted the Mandinka, who were at that time working with the Portuguese and some of the British as slave catchers. So the Balanta resisted that whole movement, man. And there's whole books and tales about how we beat down the Europeans who tried to enslave us, and as well as others. So that's my maternal lineage, or my paternal lineage, excuse me, my father's lineage. So I also wanted to trace my maternal lineage. So I did that as well, and surprisingly, it came back to the exact same region. So my maternal and my paternal lineage come from Senegambia. Now, I say that's surprising, but it's not, because many of us who are identify as Black Americans or African Americans, that's where we originate from, right? Specifically, if you trace your lineage to the American South, right? So the older your lineage is, right, the more, or I should say, the further back you go, right, the smaller your percentage, right? So my direct paternal and maternal lineage, right, trace back to that region, right, and they were brought directly to the eastern seaboard of the United States, South Carolina, North Carolina, that region, right, and they served there as rice planters, right. So that's why right before America had the cash crop of cotton, it was rice, right, and so they got those rice planters from the Senegambia region because we grew rice there, right. So that's how rice became a cash crop in the Carolinas, right. It came because we brought the rice and we brought the technology with us, right. Those enslaved people who came from that region grew rice there. We perfected the technology. Since the land was similar, the climate was similar, we're able to utilize that same technology and perfect it and grow rice in the southeastern seaboard of the United States, the Carolinas, and Georgia, right? And you'll also notice that those rice growing people remained and kept pretty pretty semi-autonomous cultures, right? And you know, we were you know, we maintained a lot of that culture from that region, right? And you'll see those traditions in the Gullah Geechee, right? So most of the Gullah Geechee come specifically from that region, and that's who they're comprised of. Those individuals, those tribes, those Balanta tribes, the Mende, the Timne, the Jola, all those tribes in that region who are primarily rice growers, right? So so that's where my oldest lineage comes from, and I was able to determine that through that testing. And then you know, more recent lineage, if you notice, if you know, we went from a rice growing being our primary cash crop in the United States to cotton in the 17th and 18th century. So when cotton began to take over at the creation of the cotton gin, right, they needed more labor, right, to support that expansion of cotton. So they started to bring in slaves from the intra-America slave trade, so meaning mostly the Caribbean. So they brought a lot of slaves over in the Caribbean because, for one, the slave trade to import West Africans or Africans in the United States stopped in 1808. So slavery didn't stop. So in order to get around that, they got slaves from the Caribbean, right? And so in order to support the growth of cotton in the southern United States, they brought in a lot of slaves from the Caribbean who primarily had a different ancestry, right? African ancestry. So those slaves on the eastern seaboard were primarily come from the Senegambia region. Those slaves from the Caribbean primarily came from Central Africa, right? So a lot of your Nigerians and you'll find a lot of people who come from the American South have a lot of Nigerian ancestry, right? And so me too, you know, my more recent ancestry comes from the American South. So I have a lot of Nigerian ancestry as well. So my autosomal ancestry is a mix of, you know, I'm 94% African. So I have, you know, that Senegambian ancestry. And then I have a lot of Nigerian ancestry as well. And the rest is, you know, I do have a small percentage. You see the straight nose, maybe that's, you know, I got a small percentage of Native American. And of course,
Bro,
we got a small
bro,
percentage.
we got similar noses, bro.
Right.
They
You
was
know,
talking about me on Original Power. Like, look at
Hey.
his nose. Like,
Hey,
I get it.
That's a joke. Actually, this nose comes from, you'll see, I got pictures, man. This nose is a Balanta nose, man. This is a nose of West Africa. So
you better not say that. They just said, look at my nose.
Hey,
we got similar noses.
So that's a West African nose. But you know, I got a small percentage of Native American DNA, and of course, we all have, you know, the DNA of our slave masters in us too. So, you know, like I said, I got a presentation. It'll touch on all that, you know.
And I want to say before I let you fly,
yeah,
appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. Very, very well spoken, well put together, and it actually really compliments Moorish World TV because I be turned, and I love the way that you really just lay it out like that. And I would hope that if one wants to come on here to refute, you wouldn't mind having a conversation. But I would expect that you have not you, but whoever wants to come and have a conversation with bro, maybe in the future, or even myself, you're going to have the same decorum. They're not going to come on here acting like some crazy Apache chasing down the Europeans for trying to burn down your tent. You ain't gonna. I'm just joking. But no, we got to have some decorum because we claim to be intelligent. We claim to be seeking after truth, not seeking after right now, but seeking after right. And so we got to carry ourselves in the manner of intelligent people. You know, there'll be no name calling, there'll be no cuss. And a little joke here and there is cool. You know what I mean? But we need to do it in healthy fun so we can build. With that being said, brother, I'm ready, brother. So the first thing, what is the first thing you're going to address tonight?
Yo, so, you know, first thing I want to address, I just want to start off with, you know, kind of understanding on why, man. How did, you know, Africans get to America? What was the purpose of, you know, Africans coming to America, and how?
You do know that the the American Indian, and in family, if don't be offended because I say American Indian, because some people say American Indian, some say Aboriginal, some said Native American. I'm just saying the most convenient thing that comes out, but it's relative to those who said that they're indigenous to America and not Africa. With that being said, American Indians, they would say that there is no slave ships, there is no boats, there is no I just seen somebody in the chat say, well, if they fought so hard, how did they get into slavery? The same way but the funny part is it's really not a good question. I'm sorry, brother. You my guy, but it's not a good question. The same way the police come and say, get on the ground and we lay down. How often did that happen? Every day. Every day. With a gang of melanated people watching.
Right.
A gang of melanated people watch George Floyd.
Right, that's fact.
What you mean? How we getting enslaved? Same way they do it every day. But anyway, with that being said, so brother, let's get started. We're gonna start with apparently these slave ships. But that's funny. So I'm gonna wait till we get the screen share and I'm gonna rub them out. But ain't that ironic that someone was there? If we were so strong, how we get so enslaved? The same way they got the prisons filled up with us today. That's how. Talking crazy. Very simple. With that being said, I'm going to step aside and enjoy this, brother. The floor is yours. Take it away.
Okay. I hope everybody can see my screen. So I'm starting off here. You know, as you can see, the title of my presentation is The African in America, right? I got my quote by my leading teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, accept your own and be yourself. All right, so we're going to the next slide. Hold on, bro.
Uh-oh.
What we saying? Hold on.
Uh-oh. They called
come out. I'm gonna come back in, bro.
They called on the totem pole.
Right.
They called on the totem pole gods. They gonna get me. Aboriginal power gonna get me. I was striking chat. You better take my video down with me talking with a whole hour. Trip.
All right, brother. Hold on, man. It ain't for some reason. It's not letting me advance my slides. Let me try and come out.
Yeah, exit out and refresh it. Go all the way out the slides and refresh. Aboriginal power. That means, listen, you can use clips, brother. Don't have me talking for a whole 30 and 40 minutes a clip and you kikiing. Don't do that. I think, you shared the wrong thing that time. I see us on the screen share.
Okay, hold on. Let me come out. I'm gonna stop sharing, and then we're gonna come in.
This is gonna be good, family. I gave Bro Kev a quick crash course on this technology, so everybody be patient a little bit as we get this screen share going.
Okay. We're gonna get it. Understand?
But where is original power in here? Take me to your leader. Everybody in here talking about you go to debate original power. Is he in here? All right, let's see. So you got, are you on the actual file, or you trying to do it from the screen?
I'm doing it. Hold on, let me hit it again.
Like you should be right on the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint should shift.
So I should go to window. Hold on. Share.
Yeah. Right. And now you should go right onto the PowerPoint page and move it around. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Bet.
Hey, listen, family. With that being said, family, I'm going to be giving courses on how to manipulate this technology, cameras. I'm going to show the best cameras to the weakest cameras, to the reasonable price cameras. I'm gonna teach screen shares. I'm gonna teach everything. So if anybody want to enroll in that class, y'all let me know. I'm gonna show you how to make thumbnails within 15 minutes that can pop. I'm gonna give a whole course next week, and I hope y'all will support. It's going to represent this legal fund that I'm setting up. With that being said, go ahead, Bro Kev. I'm ready to rock.
All right. Hey, and I just want to start off with a disclaimer. Hey, we are family, right? So I'm here to share some information. I'm here to share some research. I believe what I believe, but at the end of the day, we are a family. We all, suffering the same oppression. We are under the same system, and so, our unity is what's important. Even if we have different points of view where we start off from, operational unity is paramount. So that said, like I said, I'm coming here as your brother to share some information. All right, go to the next slide. Here we go. So this is what I'm gonna talk about. Right. So we're gonna start off with the beginning, right? So I do want to talk about West Africa. I do want to talk about what initiated the slave trade and how and why it was a thing, why it began. All right. Then next I want to jump into that slave ships never existed, because I hear that a lot. Right. There were no slave ships. There was no possible way that Africans could have survived that voyage, or individuals or humans could have survived that voyage in the bowels of the ships. And then so I want to talk about the slave trade, or the slave ship, slave voyage, provide you with some documentation. And then from there, talk about the intra-American trade. Then we're going to get into what happened to the Native Americans. All right. So I'm going to talk about these before I even get into what I jumped into, because I don't really have a lot of slides, but I want to touch on these three right here. Right. So we became African in the 1980s. I see that a lot. I heard that that come up. You know, Jesse Jackson created the term African American. We didn't call ourselves African, or we had no association with Africa before the 1980s. And family, I just want to let you know that couldn't be further from the truth. We've been calling ourselves African since at least there's documentation that we've been calling ourselves Africans, and that we were identified as Africans since the 1700s. Right? You have the African Methodist Episcopal Church, right, which is hundreds of years old. You have African Freemasonry, Prince Hall Freemasonry, right, which came about in the late 1700s, right, from Prince Hall, African Laws number 459. So we've been identifying ourselves as the language of Africa, or Native African, or Guinean, is in all types of legal documents, you know, going all the way back to the 16 and 1700s. So we did not just become Africans or identify with Africa when Jesse Jackson said it in the 1980s. We've been doing that for much, much longer, right? All the teachers who were teaching in the early part of the 19th century were talking about we were Africans. Marcus Garvey wanted us to return to Africa. Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that we were from the lost tribe of Shabazz, who came from Africa, right? So we have always been identified and always identified ourselves of Africa. This was nothing that came in the 1800s, right? So I'm gonna skip down, or into the 1980s, excuse me, I'll skip down this last point. My grandmama never told me I was African, right? Of course your grandmother never told you she was African. She didn't know nothing about Africa, right? That came from the crime of ethnocide, right? I heard when Dr. Collett told us we were robbed of our religion, robbed of our names, our language, our culture, our God, right? That was that African identity that was taken from us when we came here, right? So after the first generation, we didn't know nothing about Africa, right? All of that was taken from us. It was stripped from us. So no, your grandmother didn't know anything about Africa. She didn't know her tribe. She didn't know an African name. Conversely, she don't know anything about her Choctaw. She doesn't know the religion, the deities, or anything of any of those supposed Native American or indigenous tribes, right? So the best we can do is try and learn, you know, where we come from, and then relearn and undo the crime of ethnocide. And that's where we are today. So I'm gonna touch again on these other ones. DNA is fake entertainment, and the Africans don't look like this. I'm gonna spell all that today, folks. All right, first, family, I want to address this, right? So I'm not here to tell you that there were no melanated people in North America, right? This is where I grew up. I'm originally from East St. Louis, Illinois, right? I grew up right here, 5 minutes away, 5 miles away from Cahokia Mounds. Right? This was a settlement, the largest settlement in Mesoamerica, the largest pyramids in Mesoamerica, right here, right? And I remember going to this Cahokia Mounds on a tour when I was about in the 3rd grade. A little white lady that was a tour guide said to us, she said, you know, all the inhabitants of this settlement, you know, they didn't all look like Tonto. They didn't have long hair and, you know, straight noses and pale skin. Some of them look like you, right? You all, right? little black and brown children, right? And so that stuck with me, that resonated with me, you know, that, oh man, there was some inhabitants of of North America who didn't all look like Tonto. So I'm here to stand on that and say, yo, I do believe that there are melanated people, right, who were in North America, right? There are melanated tribes who were in North America, right? So I'm not one of those people that says that wasn't the case. So I'm gonna start there and say, yeah, we can agree on that point. We also can agree on this point here, right? That we got melanated people from all over the world, right? You know, right here, you got melanated people in Papua New Guinea. You got melanoid people in Malaysia, the Indian subcontinent, Australian Aboriginal. This is a Fijian soldier. That's me on the right here. I served in the army. And I served with this gentleman right here. He was from Fiji, right? And the Fijians look, you know, color-wise, almost just like us. How I knew they was different was when you get them on the basketball court, right? But looking at them, you know, a lot of them are very similar to us in skin tone and pigmentation, right? So, you know, we know that it's melanated people all over the globe, right? The black man is the original man, right? We inhabited every square mile of the globe, right? But we, Black Americans, right, our lineage, the majority of our lineage came from a specific place, right? And that's what we're going to talk to, right? Okay, so I use this book as a reference, right? Born in Blackness. Like this book here, Howard, by a journalist named Howard French, right? He gives a lot of good information about the beginnings of the slave trade and a lot of beginnings on why the European was in Africa to begin with, right? What he was doing in Africa and how what he was doing in Africa led to him taking Africans out of Africa and bringing them over to North America. All right. So this book is a great reference. I suggest you pick it up if you doubt anything that I'm saying in this presentation. If you have questions about, you know, if you have questions about this whole theory, this boat theory, as a lot of you all call it, or out of Africa theory, this book provides thousands of resources, right? Direct sources, first-person sources, right? It's sourced from all over the globe, right? So it's sourced from libraries in Europe, Africa, and the Americas, right? So this is a good book, right? I'm gonna quote heavily from it. So I'm gonna start with the beginning, right? How did Africa become or come to the attention of the European, right? So I'm gonna start with Mansa Musa, right? And let's even start before Mansa Musa, right? So a lot of people, you know, will state that, you know, Africans did sail to the Americas prior to Columbus, right? The Olmecs are evidence of that. You know, there were Africans who came on their own accord to North America, right? And there is a good deal of evidence that could point or support that theory as well, right? And that comes from the predecessors of Mansa Musa or those who ruled the Mali Kingdom, right? There's records or reports of individuals from the Mali Kingdom leaving with dozens, if not hundreds, of vessels, right, en route to the Americas, and they knew how to navigate to get to the Americas, and they made it successfully. Once they got there, they never returned. So if that's true, you know, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of Africans who came directly from the Mali Kingdom to North America and set up civilizations here as early as the 11th and 12th century. But we know for a fact that Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca, his Hajj to Mecca, is what brought, you know, Africa's gold and his wealth to the attention of the entire world. Right, Mansa Musa on his journey, on his Hajj to Mecca, right, had tons and tons and tons of gold with him, and he left gold everywhere he went. Right, once he did that, he depressed the economy of the regions where he was. Right, he left so much gold as gifts. Right, he left so much as tribute to wherever he was and whoever supported and entertained him while he was there and on the way to Hajj, that, you know, he suppressed the economy. Right, silver was worth more than gold at that point because there was such an abundance, right, by just him gifting it. So that brought the wealth of Mali Kingdom to the attention of the entire world, and to the attention primarily of those in the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. All right, so we'll go to the next slide. So let's go to Portugal. All right. So once Portugal, which was a second-rate, colonizer, or second-rate European country, right? Spain's little brother. Once they got, wind of all the gold that was in Elmina or in the Mali Kingdom, they sent expeditions down to check it out, right? And they knew that the gold was there. They knew because they would get the gold, but they would get it second and third hand, right? It would come from North Africa, from the Berbers, from the Moors in North Africa. They would have to buy it, and they would buy it at a higher rate. So they wanted to cut out the middleman and get directly to the gold. So they started to find routes to circumnavigate to where that gold was, right? So that's what I'm highlighting here. Gold was highly valued in Europe, but the Europeans wanted to get to a source, so they decided to try and establish trade routes, right? Capitalize on the gold trade, the Portuguese merchants and officials established fortified trading posts along the coast of modern-day Ghana, right? So once they did get there, right, they set up deals and they set up trading posts with right outside of Ghana, in a modern day place, and the city still exists, the port still exists, called Elmina. You can go there and see it to this day. All right, so that's the beginning. That was the impetus. Trying to get African gold is what started European expeditions and exploration into West Africa on this Gold Coast. All right, next slide. Okay, so what happened, right? A lot of times we hear, or we have it in our mind that the European, he came over to Africa and he subdued the African militarily. As I was kind of explaining at the outset, that really didn't happen. Because once Portugal and eventually Spain and these other European powers, but starting with Portugal and Spain, decided to make their expeditions into West Africa, what they encountered is, well, these weren't soldiers, right? Most of the time they were merchant mariners who were doing this, so they weren't skilled fighters. They were merchants. So what would happen is, from these long voyages, they would be malnourished, having dysentery, scurvy. They come out and they would try to fight, but you fighting people on their own land. They're well-trained warriors. When they came with trying to subdue the Africans and fight the Africans, they met resistance, strong resistance. So they shifted from a position of trying to come into Africa and subdue the Africans militarily or through arms, to a strategy of basically tricknology, right? Coming in and trying to establish trade and diplomacy, and they did that. So they set up, trade. And what that trade looked like was, our African gold for, wooden barrels, textiles, cork, little trinkets. One of the most valuable things that they did trade with us was iron, right? And iron was valuable because, like I told y'all in the outset, a lot of these coastal regions planted rice. And so it was much easier to plant rice with iron tools than it was with stone tools. So iron was a valuable commodity that was rare in the coastal regions. It was more inland Africa. So that was a valuable trade item. But other than that, the rest of the goods that they had, even though we didn't have them, they were not as valuable as the gold that we had, right? So, so instead of, I want to, disavow us of the notion that, Africans were subdued and beat down militarily by Europeans. No, they came and they set up diplomatic measures and trade and technology, in order to set up these alliances. And eventually that trade shifted from goods and services to humans, right? All right. So transition, trade evolves from trading, commodities to human beings, right? And what sparked that was the development of these plantations, First plantation was on mainland Africa in Sao Tome, and it was a sugar plantation. Right. Next most successful and largest plantations that the Portuguese set up were in Brazil, and then they shipped it to the Caribbean, Barbados primarily. All right, and this is as you see on the left, I have a number of sources, right? So if anybody want to take a screenshot of that, you can screenshot that and you could check my sources, right? So let's talk about this, right? Slave ships. So the common one is, hey, it's slave ships didn't exist, right? No such thing as slave ships. It's all a fairy tale. They weren't a thing, right? Slave ships absolutely existed. So the question then is, all right, where are they? Why we don't have no slave ships, sitting in a museum? Well, why would you? All right. So what would be the purpose of maintaining a slave ship from 1760? All right. Just so we could say that they existed. So, first of all, it would be costly to maintain a vessel that large for 300 years. Where are you going to house it? Who's going to pay for the maintenance on it? Right. But we know that immediately after these slave ships were no longer in use, they were repurposed. Right. So if you have a slave vessel, a useful slave vessel that's no longer carrying slaves, you're going to use it for something else. Right. So navies acquired it, the British Navy acquired it, the American Navy acquired it, Portuguese, Spanish Navy acquired them. Right. Commercials organizations, commercial trading companies and shipping companies acquired these vessels, and they used them for commercial means, legitimate commercial means. Others were taken apart and utilized there for raw resources. I'm going to use the spare parts. I'm going to use the wood. I'm going to use all of those, everything that went into making a ship into something else. I'm not just going to keep a slave ship for 300 years. Right? The practicality of that is non-existent. Right? There are some slave ships in museums. There's one, the HMS Black Joke is in a museum in Great Britain right now. But primarily, there are no large vessels, right, from the 17, 18, 15, 1600s sitting in museums today or sitting anywhere. Right. That the purpose of that is the practicality of that, the utility of that is non-existent. So slave ships don't exist. Now, how do we know that there were actually slave voyages? Right. There is documentation of 36,000 slave voyages. I'm gonna share that with you. Right. We also have documentations of insurance records by the Lloyds of London. Right. Lloyds of London is an insurance underwriter who underwrote a lot of these ships. They underwrote a lot of the voyages, right? There are records of that, right? Actual documents to this day of those voyages. Now, people could say, yo, they forged the documents. Lloyds of London has come out and they've come out and admit culpability. They've been taken in a court of law, right? These vessels existed. We have records of that. These voyages existed. We got records of that. Right. Next slide. Okay, that's my Lloyds of London slide there. Let's go to the voyages, right? All right, so it's a document. There's a website you can go to, right? Slave Voyages, right? You can go to it right now, slavevoyages.org. It has documents of 36,000 voyages. Right, from 1526 to 18, I believe 75. Right now, this is just documented. This does not account for the undocumented voyages and undocumented people. Right, this documents, right, first person document, source documented of 12.5 million Africans taken from the African continent, brought to the Americas, North America, South America, the Caribbean. 12.5 million, right? And I'm gonna interject right here too. A lot of people often say only 3%, I hear this all the time, only 3% of Black people in America come from Africa. That's a misinterpretation of that understanding, right? 3% of this 12.5 million ended up in North America, right? And that's documented. So multiply 3% times 12.5 million, and then you figure out how many of those people ended up in North America, directly in North America, right? You can see here, this is a number of, at the bottom of the screen, USA, right? That's 305,326 people taken directly from North America, from Africa, and landed on the shores of North America, continental United States of America, right? And that's documented, right? That doesn't, we know that there were tens of thousands of undocumented voyages or voyages that we weren't able to document, and people that we weren't able to document. So, you can go to the site right here, and then you could click on it, and it'll take you to the original document, right? It'll tell you where it is, what library it came from, right? Just go to that site if you want to investigate and learn more about these slave voyages. And it even has names, right? There's names of people who were documented, where they came from, what their ethnicity was. All this is in documents. Now, I guess your rebuttal to that could be, they just made this up in the 1980s when they wanted to decide that Black people came from Africa instead of being native to America. But that'd be an awful lot of work, right, to produce these documents that are several hundred years old and in these libraries, right? Just to pull off this conspiracy 40 years ago. So we're gonna move on to the next slide, fam. So let me jump here. So what happened to the Native American, right? So if we're not Native Americans, then what happened to them? Were they simply just reclassified as Negro? And that's us. Well, let's look into that a little bit. All right. So we know that diseases, wiped out a significant portion of the Native American population. Right. So back that up a little bit. So as I said at the onset, these Africans who came over from West Africa, West and Central Africa, had been in proximity, had been the European. They had been trading with the European for hundreds of years, right? Since the late 14th century, 1400s, right? So in that time, they had been exposed to Europeans, they had been exposed to European diseases and had developed a level of immunity. There was also a level of miscegenation between the Europeans. So all of those Africans who got on those slave ships and who were on those voyages weren't 100% African. Some of them had already been, you'd already had a Creole culture and mulattoes and people of Portuguese and Spanish and British and Dutch, mixture, admixture, right? So they came over with some exposure, some inoculation, along with some genetic inoculation, having some of the blood of the European in them. So contrast that with the Native American when he came over, who had no proximity to the European. Right. So when the European came over, they brought these pathogens and germs and diseases that they had no exposure to. They breathed on them, and the common cold would kill them, and it did. It decimated whole populations. Right. So we say what happened to the Native Americans. Well, a lot of them was simply impacted in whole communities and whole tribes and whole what we would know today as territories and states wiped out. Simply because of diseases. Right. So next question, we have, okay, were the Native Americans enslaved? And this is a good book that speaks to that. The Native Americans that initially, as well as, you hear about the white indentured service, Native Americans, there was a level of enslavement among the natives that were here, the indigenous that were here. But it wasn't successful, right? One, because of, like I stated on the outset, the disease factor. The second was it's difficult to enslave people on there and keep them captive, on a native land. Right? It was difficult for Africans who were brought here, didn't know the territory to escape because they could be found. Right. But if you're here, right, and people try to enslave you, and you got the benefit and you have the safety of your fellow tribesmen or nearby tribes or even warring tribes, right? You can easily find a place to escape, and that's what happened. This book details it very well. Why Native American enslavement wasn't as successful as African enslavement. So natives were, there was some level of native and indigenous enslavement, but it was not nearly as successful as using Africans. The other reason was because the natives, the red natives or Mongoloid natives, could easily escape and blend in with other tribes. They could even cut their hair and blend in with Europeans. So it wasn't as successful. If you want to get some documentation and details, check out this book, The Other Slavery. All right. Other things that occurred, warfare and violence. Whole populations were wiped out. By warfare and violence. Another good source is this book, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. It's the history of Native Americans and what happened to them and how they how they were forced out of their territories and forced on reservations. It details the whole entire history. So check that book out. Screenshot that and check that book out. Make sure. Okay. All right. So this is Brother Talker Bay touched on this a little bit, at the beginning, right? A lot of you, and I'm not here, right, if you have records, if you have documentation, if you have a strong oral narratives of your family, being of Native American heritage, right? I would never debate you on that. I would never say that you're not telling the truth or that your information isn't authentic. I would never say that because I don't have the knowledge or I don't have the information to dispute that. What I will dispute is that, like I said, these things that slave trade didn't exist. There were no slave ships. I would dispute that. But if you saying, hey, my granny told me that we Choctaw, I got documentation, I got tribal connections, I can speak the language, that's all fair and well. And we know that, like Brother Talker Bay said, there were intermarriages, right? There was miscegenation between Africans and Indians, Native Americans, right? Which more than likely, is what some of you have records and documentation of. These two books right here, Red Over Black and Black Indians, it details this. Pick one of these books up and get the information, right? We know there's a long history of intermarriage and miscegenation between natives and African slaves and their descendants. And we know also, as a lot of people like to say, there were instances of natives, real natives, dark-skinned, melanated natives being reclassified as Negroes. That is true. These books detail this, but where we get into trouble by saying that is saying that is the case for every person who's melanated in this country. That's not the case, right? So that's why I had this label, mixing truth with falsehood. Those things are true, but those things being true don't make this whole ideology of Black people in America being non-African or only native to the Americas. So we don't want to mix truth with falsehood. We want to get the truth, and we want to stand on that, and let's stand on that alone. All right, so I want to get into how we can utilize or how we can analyze our genetics, right, to prove, right, to show and prove that the Black American, right, is genetically African, right? Okay, so our genetic composition. So basically, what I'm saying here is that those who we classify as African or Black or African American in North America, right? Most of our DNA, right? Most of our genetics, goes directly back to Western Central Africa, right? Usually right around, if you can trace your ancestry to the American South, it's about 83%. If you can trace your ancestry to outside of the American South, it's about 80% DNA comes from Africa. The remainder of that is some European, and then most people have about 3 to 5 or maybe 3 native ancestry. All right, so I'm gonna break that down a little further a little later. All right, so the Black American, right? We're gonna talk about this. So the Black American, right, is a mixture of DNA from hundreds of West and Central African tribes and ethnic groups, right? Which is very interesting, right? That we want to deny this, because how that is advantageous is that the genetic diversity in that is a genetic plus, right? It makes us, for lack of a better term, have genetic superiority over people who don't have this level of mixture, right? And this is because of slavery, right? Because of slavery, right? We were mixed, right? We're not one of us can say that they're all one thing, right? We have mixtures. We have hundreds of ancestors, and all of those ancestors are a mixture, right, of West and Central African tribes primarily, right? The genetic diversity inherent in those specific people is greater than any genetic diversity found in the world, right? That is a genetic bonus or plus. It makes the Black man in America almost a Superman. That thing right there alone, right? And you see that. So we're going to say genetic diversity, right, is a genetic and evolution plus, right? It's a plus for survival, for against diseases, for mental, for physical characteristics. Having that level of diversity is a genetic evolutionary bonus that's only found in Black people who in America who are a mix of these specific tribal and have these origins. Right. So you want to add to that natural selection, right? So natural selection, what is natural selection, right? That's survival of the fittest, right? That is epigenetics, right? That's your genes learning over time how to become stronger, how to become more efficient, how to better survive the conditions, right? So the Black people who made it over to America are survivors of the death marches, right? Being captured inland on the coast of West Africa, West and Central Africa, right? Being marched, right, to these slave dungeons, right? Transatlantic slave voyage, chattel slavery, Jim Crow, Black Codes, prison industrial complex, that natural selection that it took, for those genes to survive and develop and become more efficient and to become stronger for the survival of those descendants is also an evolutionary bonus, a genetic plus. It makes us some of the strongest, most physically, mentally resilient people to have ever lived, right? The Black American, nobody else on the planet, right? So it baffles me that we want to be something other than what we really are, when what we really are is one of the greatest things to ever have been created and ever to have existed. The people who come and who descend from these roots and who had to endure all of this is who you are and what we are, is what I am. All right. So let's talk about, genes and genetics and genetic adaptations, right? So one thing we can utilize to kind of understand who we are, or what we can find in genes, is that we have there's certain blood disorders that are prevalent in West African populations, right? And that is due to primarily malaria, right? So malaria and a certain mosquito that's found in West Africa, transmitting these parasites and creating all of these different, bloodborne diseases. Right? So as an evolutionary process, we develop genetic adaptations, right? Those genetic adaptations were specific to West Africa, and you can find all of those genetic adaptations in the African American population today, right? Sickle cell. This one here, I'm not familiar with. Thalassemia, G6PD deficiency. I have it myself, right? G6PD is a very, 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 very interesting one that that about 15% of African American males have, and most of us don't even know we have it. But again, you know, it comes from West Africa specifically, and it's found in a high level of the population of African Americans here. And these other ones, again, I'm not very familiar with them, but as you see, these exist here. Oh man. So these genetic bloodborne diseases, which originate and have their origins in West Africa, found in a high percentage of the African American population. So that's another thing genetically that we can trace or that we can use to confirm our genetic ancestry originating in that specific region. Let's go to another one here. Sprinter's gene, right? This book, Taboo, I picked up this book about 20 years ago. Why Black athletes dominate sports and why are we so afraid to talk about it, right? Let me ask y'all, has anybody ever seen a melanated you know, Aboriginal run in the finals of the 100-yard dash, 100-meter dash? You ever seen one in the NBA? You ever seen any other melanated group, you know, outside of Africans in America, African Americans and Africans originating on the continent, compete in anything that require, you know, fast twitch muscles, right? So according to this study, right, this specific gene ACTN3 is present in a much higher proportional rate of people of West African descent. But basically, the ability to run fast and jump high, right, originates here. Where you see it, right? You see it in African Americans, and you see it in those West Africans who are in the Caribbean, right? Every Olympics, who's winning? You don't see no other melanated group of people from the planet other than those who can trace their origins and their lineage to West Africa, right? Sprinter's gene is found here. It's found in us today. All right, so we'll go to DNA. DNA is fake, right? That's what I hear. Don't trust none of these DNA companies. It's all fake. It's all a game. It's entertainment. You see that as a you know, disclaimer. It's just to take your money and make you think you're from Africa when you're really not. All right. Let's break it down. Talk through it, right? So what are we really learning when we test DNA? Right. So if you go to one of these companies, when I talked about this a little bit on the outset, it's doing your autosomal DNA, right? It's saying everything I got in me, right? Do I have you know, a certain percentage of this, African, a certain percentage of European, a certain percentage of Nigerian, Cameroonian descent? That's what an autosomal test is going to tell you. It's going to take all your DNA and it's going to spit out some percentages and some numbers, right? How you know it? One way that know that that's a real thing. Not necessarily, you don't know it's real because it tells you from Nigeria or Cameroon, is because if you do a test with Ancestry DNA, you're gonna find, you know, cousins, right, that you know are your cousins. You're gonna find uncles that you know are your uncles, aunts that you know are your aunts, right, when you do that test. So you know that it is connecting you genetically with those who share your same DNA. So you know it's real. Another reason why you know, I suggest that people do Ancestry DNA or any type of DNA testing is, you know, even if you're tracing your genealogy, right? Even if you're saying I just use paper, whatever. We know, family, that what they say, you know, mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right? So, and these DNA tests will show and prove that 30%, all DNA tests will show you that 30% of the supposed fathers are not the fathers. So if you want to trace your actual lineage, paperwork is a good start, but you ain't no way to verify who you are without having DNA tests. Ain't no way to verify your paternal or maternal lineage if you don't use genetics or DNA. So if you want to be specific and be able to trace your actual lineage, then I would suggest that you use DNA. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so what kind of DNA do we have? mtDNA, mitochondrial DNA, right? What that does is for a man, I can test it, and it's going to trace my mother's lineage. And a woman, the only way she can trace her direct lineage is tracing her mtDNA, right? So, and what this does is, like I said this in the beginning, it'll pass down information for 500 to 2,000 years without changing. It represents a single lineage, right? So you want to know what doesn't change, right? Every time you intermarry, you know, you get a little bit of that other ancestor, right? You get whatever DNA they have in them, right? That comes into your offspring. But this DNA right here, it don't matter. It's not going to change. It's going to pass unchanged from mother to daughter, mother to daughter, mother to daughter, father to son, father to son. So this is how you trace your lineage, right? You have to get this testing. It's unchanged. All right. Again, for a male, Y chromosome passes from father to son. Right. That's how we know our ancestral roots, our genetic heritage. This can be, you know, this is, it's hard to dispute this. This is science, right? This is science. I can take, and we've done this, right? People in the genetic and ancestral community, they have matched up with actual continental Africans by doing this. People who are on the continent today, they found cousins, right? Science. I don't know how you can dispute that and say that's, you know, that's made up or that's entertainment, right? If I match up with somebody that's on the continent that my DNA has showed me is my relative, and our DNA is the same, right? So we're gonna go here, right? So ancestors. This I got this to illustrate how many ancestors you have, right? Every time you marry, every time, you know, a child is born, every time another generation, right? This is how many ancestors. So if we go back 7 generations, we got how many ancestors? 256. So even if you claim, even if your mother told you that your lineage, right, your mother's mother, going back 7 generations is native, you're gonna say that there's nobody intermingled with anybody that's non-native, right? So you have no DNA that could come from anywhere else. All 250%, 256 of these people are, you know, are native to or indigenous to America. That's highly improbable and highly unlikely. So even if your lineage, like I said, my lineage is from the Balanta people, I also have European ancestors in here. You know, I also have some native ancestors in here, right? And that's what makes up a total person. That's that autosomal number I was talking about, right? The autosomal word, right? So everybody black in them, it's undisputable that even if your lineage is one thing, right, that you got other things in you, right? If you are a black person or a black identifying African American in America, so you, no matter how you want to slice it, everybody in this group who's saying they Native American has got some African in them, and you got some non-African in you, right? That's just facts. That's science. It's hard. It's indisputable. All right, this is what DNA looks like. So this is my estimate right here. I'm sharing this with you. You know, I'm 94% African, right? 91% sub-Saharan African. And you know, the average black person in America, most of my lineage is in the American South, so we didn't have a lot of admixture down there, you know. Wasn't a lot of bunny hopping, so I'm mostly African, right? This is 23andMe right here, and this is my estimate from Ancestry DNA, right? And so, you know, once again, this right here, this number I'm going to go, this Senegambian region, this is my lineage. It's a much lower number because it's older, right? It's the oldest part of my lineage. The rest of it primarily is when we got to the American South. It's Nigerian, right? Which follows what I said. All right, so we're going to go here. I'm almost done, y'all. Right, so primarily, y'all, this some pictures of me, right? When I visited Africa, I like y'all saying, you know, Africans don't like us, and that's another thing. why you want to be African. I visited Africa 3 times. I visited the land of my maternal and paternal ancestors. This is a Balanta village in the country of Guinea-Bissau, right? This is me going through a age grade initiation, right? When I got there, the Africans welcomed me with open arms. It was all love. They love us. They want us to come and visit. We are them and they are us. You know, it's this whole concept that Native Africans and Africans, you know, recent African immigrants in America don't like Black Americans. That's just another trick, you know, to divide and conquer. More pictures of me in Guinea-Bissau. That's me eating some of the native fruit there. This me was something when I got welcome. So we want to look at this. This was my twin right here. This brother look a lot like me. This is me looking at the. I'm here on the Cashew, which is the city. It's a port of debarkation. That was the last thing my ancestors saw before they got shipped to the Americas. Right here, right. I'm gonna talk real briefly about the Balanta. Right, you see these brothers with these red hats. Right, that means they're initiated men. Right, this red hat, they underwent a ceremony, which allowed them to have these red hats, which means they will protect their elders, their protectors, their representatives of the tribal council. That's what that red hat signifies. We don't look like them, all right? These people look like, you know, they could go anywhere in America, and you wouldn't be able to tell that they were African, right? Continental Africans. This sister right here is Temne descent. This sister is Mende descent. This sister is Yoruba. I'm sorry, Igbo. These brothers are Yoruba, right? This sister is Fula. So these are all Western Central African tribes. These are all people who we descend from, who, if we were all in the room together, you wouldn't be able to tell who was who and who was from where. So this whole notion that, you know, we don't look like West Africans and they don't look like us, it couldn't be further from the truth. But I will caveat that in some instances, yes, some of us don't, right? But that's because, you know, of our, as I said before, we have an admixture of every West African tribe. And a lot of us have a significant amount of European DNA, non-African DNA. Not because we're some other group of melanated people that are non-related. It's because of our admixture, our genetic admixture, that may make some of us not look just like these Africans. But I will contend that we look almost identical to our brothers and sisters in West Africa. You could go over to visit any of these West African countries, as I have, blend right in, see the faces of your people, see people who look like your mama, your daddy, your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, homeboys you went to school with, you know. So, you know, disavow yourself of that false notion that we don't look like West Africans. Couldn't be further from the truth. All right, so I'm gonna sum it up with this, brother. So what you're saying when you disown your African ancestry and assume an ancestry that may or may not be yours, is you're subscribing to the belief, right, that you know, you're saying that you lost your religion, right, as a native person, because I don't know any African person or person claiming Aboriginal that knows how to summons, or they know any of the native religions that you know, any of the indigenous people practice. So you lost that. You lost your culture. You don't know any of your native or deities. You don't speak your language. You don't practice any of your customs. More importantly, you don't own the land, right? This was your land you claim, right? You don't own any of it. You don't own 1 square inch of it. Not only do you not own it, you also don't govern it, right? You don't govern anything. You answer to another government, right? As Black people in America, right? Do you have your own separate governance structure or governing systems, right? So you're saying that you got basically washed on your own land, right? That's not our story as people who identify as Africans in America, right? Yes, we were taken, right? But we understand how we lost our religion, our culture, our God. We understand the crime of ethnocide and how it was practiced and put on us, right? How did you lose all yours? And you own your land that you were birthed on, that your ancestors were birthed on. Why aren't you practicing any of that, right? So if you ask me which narrative I would rather claim, it's the one where, yes, we were taken, right? But we survived, right? We came over here, we survived, and we thrived, right? Now we were here, right? We were dominated, right? And oppressed on our own territory, right? The Africans can't say that, right? The Africans in Africa right now on the continent, right? Even though the European came over there and he was able to colonize them, right? The Africans over there still know their indigenous language. They're still practicing their indigenous culture and religion. They still have their land, right? We can argue, about their governing structures or who controls it, but they're still there, right? In control, living, understanding, learning, knowing their culture, practicing their religion, practicing their indigenous language. So, you would accept that narrative over another narrative simply because you find the idea of being non-African more attractive, right? So to me, as we started with, that seems like an identity crisis that we need to work through. It's definitely understandable, right? It's definitely understandable how we as Black people in America are suffering from an identity crisis. So I don't fault any of my brothers who or sisters who are in that position or who think something that may not apply to them, right? But I want us to investigate and why we were acceptive and receptive to a narrative that may not necessarily hold water or be true. And that I'm gonna land my plane, brother.
Let me add something, because I've been here watching the chat the whole night, and I look at all of these comments. One of them is my sister Kwali, and to see a Moorish American make comments that are so typical. I mean, so typical of an argument. My grandmother said, like, that's not science. And my grandmother said, I told you I was born Toronto. My grandmother said.
My grandmother said it too, man. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. The arguments is just, it blows me away that one refused to look at time periods. Kwali was saying that Christopher Columbus came and he said there was Black people here. Of course. But we're talking about the United States of America. This is what the internet Indians are talking about. We're talking about the United States of America. They're claiming Chickasaw, they're claiming Cherokee, they're claiming all of these things. Christopher Columbus never stepped into the place that we know as the USA.
Absolutely.
So that's a whole different argument. That's a whole different argument, because we know without a doubt of contradiction that many people that were on the islands came with the island. We know that. That's not the conversation that we're having here. My conversation is that the internet Indian that just came into vogue about 3 years ago. They just came into vogue like 3 years ago. Before that, they was with Dr. York. Dr. York had an Indian group with him.
Right.
So when Dr. York get incarcerated, some of them ran to the Moorish Science Temple of America because they left the Nuwabian Nation of Moors. The next thing you know, they claim because Dr. York had brothers with the feathers on them, they claim that. But let's get into the science of it. Majority, whether we choose to accept it or not, this is what the data says. The data says, and you can say, well, who created the data? Then we can't really have a conversation if we cannot trust the data. We start talking about cheekbones. My cheekbones can look like the indigenous, the natives, and all that. But heck, my cheekbones can look like European cheekbones too if you go to the right geographical location.
Yeah, and brother, there's so much diversity in Africa, man. I mean,
Bro,
Like
they think
most of us
Africa
ain't
is a
never set
country.
foot in
They
Africa.
think Africa is a country like America.
Right.
It's a
There's so much
continent.
diversity. In West Africa alone, in one country. Brother, if you go to Guinea-Bissau, you will see from the lightest African to the darkest, from the 6'7" to the 4'10".
Bro, let me tell you something.
Every bill, every color.
What changed me is doing home improvement, right? And for some reason, a lot of people outside of the quote unquote Black American here in America would hire me to do a lot of repairs on their home. I'm talking about from Indian to African. I mean, a huge array of different nationalities. So I had a chance to actually interact without even leaving out the country. You know what I mean? And I had a chance to see people that if they didn't open their mouth, you didn't know who they were.
Right.
You didn't know if they were products of the slave trade or that they came from the Far East in India. You didn't know. You didn't know. And so it dawned on me like, hold up, maybe we got this all messed up. And so now when I center in and zone in, if you will, or zero in on the American slave trade and the brothers saying that and the sisters saying that they're American Indians, I'm saying, hold up now. Many, and you pointed out this point, many people that say that, what you're saying is you have an unbroken lineage. This is what you're saying. The Mongolian looking Indians, they also say they have an unbroken lineage. And guess what? They actually can verify it. Mm-hmm. They really can. The $5 Indian, they can verify, even though they mix with a lot of European, they can verify to the standard and what is accepted by their little owners, the United States. They can verify that. What is the standard that our people are claiming, and how do you verify it?
Right.
Because of an oil painting?
Right.
Because of an oil painting? Is that for real? Right. Most of the oil paintings that people are using, they're using it from a geographical location that don't even associate with them. It don't even associate with them where they come up in North America. And some of it be in South America. I looked at an oil painting that a brother showed me the other night. Man, that joint was from Venezuela. Like, bro, what you doing?
Right.
Like, you showing me oil painting. And the sister Kwali, she said, Dr. Varian Sertima said they was here for Columbus. What was he talking about, though?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they weren't.
He wasn't talking about nobody in New Jersey.
Right. I'm not saying that they weren't, brother. My point is that everybody who identifies as Black, is not from Africa, is what they say. I'm saying I'm trying to disprove that.
My thing is this. This internet thing.
Yes.
We know that people were here.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
I'm saying this internet thing.
Yes.
Where people just are latching on because it's the new thing.
Right. Yeah,
but now you got to show and prove. Yeah. You don't get to say, Grandma told me.
Yeah. Nah,
you don't get to say, here's a picture. I told you we was here. No. If you are this person. See, one thing about, let's use the standard, and I don't like to do it, but I have to do it. Let's use the standard of somebody who came here a few generations from Jamaica. A few generations back, they can take themselves right to Jamaica. And when they get to Jamaica, they can keep on traveling back, either it's the slave or they came from the mountains somewhere. They can keep it going. Right. You take a European that know his history or her history. They can say, yes, I'm Italian and we came over here on 18, and then when they get back into Italy, they can trace it back and keep it pushing.
Right.
These Indians, internet Indians, they claim all of this stuff, and then you say, well, show us the evidence.
Right.
And then they just start picking up pictures from Mexico. Like, no, they don't work like that. work like that. So brothers say, bro, you're trying to say your grandparents lying? No, I'm not saying my grandparents lying. What I'm saying is it's more complicated than to say that I am indigenous and I'm an American Indian, because I could have that all into my blood, being a product of being enslaved by the Native American. I could have it in my blood by being a product of intermarriage. I could have it in my blood for all different sorts of reasons. But we know in the 1800s, Indians, American Indians, owned slaves just like Europeans.
They did. I got books. The books that I referenced talk all about that. But to your point, brother, where you said, where the person in the chat said, are you trying to say your grandparents are lying? No, I'm trying to say they didn't know. Right? They did not know. And we were taught and brainwashed that Africa, we didn't want to be nothing about Africa.
There you go.
In the 1940s and 50s and 30s, we'd rather be a fly on the wall or than say we were African.
That was ingrained in us. That was ingrained in us.
Anything other than African was something that we tried to latch on to. That's part of our history. Right. So
listen, there's a story back, and they try to attribute this to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. There's a story back in the day in the South, where as though Africans in America, if you will, would wear turbans to try to pass as Indians. Because even then, and I ain't talking about Indians here, I'm talking about Indians from India.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They would wear turbans. It was a common thing for them to get, during the Jim Crow era, they wore turbans so they can get into places that wouldn't allow color, if you will. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So we've been taught to try to run from
pass as anything other than black or anything other than African. That's our history in America. Like anything other than African was assigned a certain level of privilege.
And the thing is this, bro. I don't mean to cut your wisdom.
Yeah, no.
One thing that I want people to bring to the table if they come here and they represent the Indian thought. Bro, you mentioned running. You know what I mean, with the African gene and the running gene or whatever. Right. I want you to show me what you know about your culture as American Indian.
Right.
Because 3 years ago, 4 years ago, only evidence that you had was grandma said.
Right.
Since the internet came, now you know where to order feathers at to put on your head. Now you know how to buy a hatchet offline. Now you know how you learn a few little words. Then you even find some native land that has people would meet up there and say, "This is my land."
Right.
You with the internet, it really doesn't change. But you give it 5 years ago. A lot of these people are claiming Native American, brother. I'm telling you, American Indian. I've been around for a long time. 10 years ago, they was NOI.
Yeah.
10 years ago, they was Dr. York. 10 years ago, they was Moore's Uncut.
Yeah.
Uncut.
Identity crisis, man. Identity crisis.
Now all of a sudden, they will beat you down if you told them they wasn't an Asiatic black man 10 years ago. Yeah. They will cut your throat if you told them they wasn't Moor 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Hebrew, all that. But today, with this internet and that information at your fingertips, oh my goodness. Now everybody, Pocahontas and King Kamachi. I'm saying this. I'm saying that those who are claiming this, you have to show and prove. I say we are descendants from the inhabitants of Africa. I stand on it.
Absolutely.
Whether you came here early or whether you came here later. I'm saying that the conversation of the 17 and 1800s of America, I'm talking about the eastern seaboard of America in particular.
Yeah.
You came on that ship and now you're claiming something else.
Absolutely.
Now you're claiming something else. You came on that ship. And the ridiculous thing about it is let's keep it a buck. America is a place where I think anybody can thrive if they collectively centralize their ideas and thoughts and execute it properly. America would be the place. But let's not forget, Africa is the most richest soil on the planet.
Bro.
And you're gonna give all of that up. All we got to do, if we could move listen, I said this on the phone. I was talking to somebody. I said, those that would be considered Africans in America, we control the culture of everything.
We do.
Let me tell you something. We got Chinese people rapping right now because we control the culture. And we got Africans in Africa rapping and even twerking because we control the culture.
Yeah. And brother, they love us.
Centralize our ideas and culture, we be back on top overnight.
Yes, bro.
But we allow this manipulation to come in. Yeah. And that's why I disagree with some of the founding of NOI and some of the foundings of these crazy Moors. And I disagree with a lot of things. But I agree that we got the same boot on our neck. And one thing that should not divide us is somebody, when I'm not African, I'm Indian. Right. And I'm saying, okay, well, just show and prove.
Right.
You just came with some data, right? You know what they say?
What they say?
Well, the white man could have hooked that up.
Right.
We can't have no conversation.
If that's your answer to everything,
we can't have a conversation.
Where we go from there? Yeah.
Take the data and see if it passed the litmus test. And see if it passed the litmus test. I'm saying that even though I was born Toronto, that's my birth name. I'm saying that even my grandmother, her name was Ruby Queen because they had names like that. I mean, my great grandmother, Ruby Queen. Even though that we connect to this, could there be a possibility that we got mixed up in the intermingling of African and Indians? Could that be a possibility? See, the problem is that the American Indian on the internet, they don't even consider the possibility. And they don't have any evidence to refute anything anybody is saying. They don't have any evidence. So again, they was born Brian and Billy and Michael. I wasn't born Brian, Billy, or Michael. And I'm just saying that the evidence shows of intermingling of Africans and the red native, or even the copper tone native. But even when you look at the copper tone native, it don't look like you, Jody.
No.
The copper tone native don't even look like Jody. They would show a copper tone native with a mohawk. You know what I'm saying? Don't look nothing like Jody and say, this me, I'm Creek. Like,
right. And brother, where you were going, man, that's the next level of this conversation, man. When you mention, the beauty of Africa, not only the beauty, but the abundance of resources, man. The whole world is trying to get into Africa now, and we trying to run from it, right? The Chinese is trying to get over there. Let me say this.
I got my brother. I got my bro. He reached out to me. Let me see real quick. YK the Truth. That's my bro. He disagreed with me on some topics. It got a little bit. I guess a little bit out of pocket, if you will. Not on my end, but on his end. But he sent me an apology through the email. I accept your apology, brother, because let me tell you something. Man, we can disagree. We don't got to be disagreeable. You know what I'm saying? I believe some weird stuff back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really believe I heard Santa Claus come through the chimney. I really believe that. I really believe that. I really believe that Santa Claus ate them cookies off the table. And so someone will ask me, would your grandparents lie to you? They told me Santa Claus ate the cookies off the table.
Right.
They told me that he left these toys.
No, they didn't lie. They told me
didn't
what they thought they knew. Yeah, yeah,
Come on, man.
yeah.
Come
What
on.
they
So
thought they knew.
don't ask me the
Yeah.
crazy questions. Would your people lie to you? Not intentionally to hurt
No,
you.
no, no.
But I was told, and I believe that I heard him walking on a roof where we didn't have no chimney in the projects.
Right.
So let's stop playing these games to act like we don't know. So the point at the end of the day, when people are claiming to be American Indian, I say, this brother just sit up here with an hour plus data. Bring your data. Bring your data. I'm telling you, your pictures will not suffice in this conversation.
No,
because every picture you can bring, I can source the picture and I can ask you where you from, and I can source the Indian, if you will, to your neck of the woods and show that you don't fit the phenotype. So if you come on here and you say you're from New York, we're going to look at the Indians in New York in 17 and 1800s. We're going to see what they look like. and even if they dark copper tone, I guarantee you they don't look like you Indian internet aboriginals. I guarantee you. Most of these people look like they came straight out the bush, putting feathers on their head.
Right.
Come on, man. Anything you want to, bro. So you know they're gonna come for you, right?
Yeah, I know. Hey, I welcome it, brother. And like I said, y'all my family. But again, the next level of this conversation, man, is what does it all mean, right? If you an Aboriginal, how does that empower you, right? How does that?
I like this. But I like it. Somebody say, grandma never gave you an Indian name. Obviously, she never cared about Indian culture. Yeah, my grandmother told me. Each one destroyed their colony 5 years ago. Look, my grandmother told me. So why didn't grandma name you Matalakawako?
Right. Hey, the Aboriginals want to be Indian more than they want to be alive, brother. I mean, dang, they holding on to that identity like, you know what I'm saying, like nothing I ever seen before.
But brother, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The powers that be, and I spoke about this when we talked earlier. The powers that be, they know that we are so tribal centered.
Yes.
That as they throw a meat of identity into a pack of wolves, the wolves are sitting there fighting over this pack of meat of identity while they continue to stick the planet up without a gun.
And that's what I'm saying, right?
They continue to stick the planet up without a gun.
Our disunity, they benefit from our disunity.
And you know what? It wouldn't be as bad if the American Indian Aboriginals wasn't so disrespectful. You should have seen them in the chat earlier.
I bet.
Africans stink. Like you sound, like you like a half 100 talk about somebody stink.
Yeah, brother.
Like you like really like you got children probably.
Yeah.
You have children. You're supposed to be a productive member of society, and you really in a chat at 11 o'clock at night saying Africans stink.
And that's what they got you thinking. But brother, like I said, man,
regardless,
why would you say it?
Mature person think that is the smartest thing to say in an intelligent conversation. Africans stink. Africans dirty. Like.
But brother, it's really almost like, you know, like the Black MAGA movement, right? It's the movement it's a grievance movement of people who feel like they're disenfranchised. When you see that in it, right? It's some sincere brothers and sisters who actually, you know, research and they claim the identity and they're authentic with it. But there's a lot of that, you know, that grievance energy in it. Like I just want to be mad at somebody.
I got a brother. What's my brother name? Oh man. My brother, Turtle Island.
Yeah.
My brother from Turtle Island. Man, that's my guy too. Man, he official with it.
Yeah.
He official with it. And I can tell you he official with it. And he gonna run it all the way down.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these internet phonies.
Right.
But my brother, I keep forgetting his name. But my brother, that's my guy. You know what I mean? You got a few that's actually official with it, that's going to run it all the way down, that's going to connect the dots, that's going to definitely be like, now you prove me wrong.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
he
Give you
got
something to think about. Give you
but you
something to
got
think
these
about.
people,
Yeah,
man. I watch these people be with Dr. York. I watch these people be with the
Yeah.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali, be with Elijah Muhammad, and all of the other leaders of yesterday.
yeah.
And now, like 5 years ago, 2 years ago, they sitting around there with feathers hanging down to their calves.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah,
But anyway, brother, we gonna watch this.
yeah,
Watch this, and we let some people come on, brother. I appreciate your presentation.
yeah.
Let me real quick before I go, I want to make sure that if you are interested in more information from bro, I want you to man, I gotta look at my email. I want to, hey bro, see if you can send me the email in the back chat. I want to throw your link to your YouTube page up
Okay.
here. But it's a back chat that you can send it
Chat.
to me in.
Is this it's a chat? Hold on.
Yeah. It should say chat, right? But you can see the chat.
Yep, I can see where it say chat, but it won't let me send a message. Hold on.
Go to the private right here. It says stream in private up top.
Up top. Oh man.
Should be on your right hand side.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah, drop it right there. And I want everybody to if y'all interested in information, and I hope, bro, you take my mentor thing, man, so you can get that streaming going.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he didn't drop the Crip say he was confused because Catawba Bay, he bring that heat. Brother was a little bit calm. He too calm. He was too calm for you, Crip. He was too calm for you, Crip. He's too calm for you. But with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to to my bro, YK the Truth. Get him up on here. Because I want to hear different opinions. And I would love to get a panel of some Indians on here because I think the Indians need to wake up. The Indians, man, all they got is oil paintings, man. They got oil paintings from Great Britain. Yeah, they got oil paintings saying it's from the British Museum. Like, bro. They got oil paintings from the British Museum. Like, bro, stop, man. They got to stop this mess, man. They got to stop this. You got to come better than that. But yeah, did you put it in there?
I did. I couldn't get it for whatever reason, brother. It wouldn't let me.
All right, let me pull it up.
I just text you though. I just texted to you.
Oh, you put it in the okay.
Yeah, that's my email.
Yeah, family. I want you to go check bro out. Let me see if I see it.
That's my email.
Now I want you to
website.
You got a YouTube channel?
Yep.
Yeah, put that in the text. Text me that.
Okay. All right.
Listen, because I always say that one thing that we got to do is that when you're not watching Moorish World TV, there's no reason that we should be watching crazy pseudo stuff. We need this, like if we getting taught a pseudo, like sometimes we just need to turn on other people so they can get up in the algorithm so we can drown out that pseudo stuff. I mean, we gotta drown out that pseudo stuff. But the only way we can drown out the pseudo is you got to give the reality a chance. You got to give the reality a chance, man. I feel real good this evening, man. I'm because I was always a fan of YK the Truth, and I'm glad that he reached out to me, man. And I think that's a testament to how brothers and sisters need to do. You know, we can disagree. I mean, we can have a drag down disagreement, but at the end of the day, listen, while we up there disagreeing and having a drag down disagreement, somebody is strategizing for another two to disagree and a drag down. I think we can disagree and be respectful. If we call the European, I mean, in NOI, it was common thing, the white man, the devil.
Yes, sir.
And I always say the European this, the European that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We do not desire to amalgamate or mix with the pale skinned nation of Europe. We talk all this stuff with the European. But one thing about this European, they can fake like they don't get along, or they can even not get along. But they can sit down and have a conversation and walk away and go to Starbucks together.
Hey, it's called Operation.
But we call them the devil.
Right. We unifying to achieve an aim or a purpose, operational unity, right? And that's what we have to do, brother. We don't have to all believe the same thing. We don't have to all agree, but we need to unify to achieve a certain goal or to achieve an aim or a purpose.
I'm telling you, man, when I debate, I go hard.
Yeah.
But I never go hard to the point where as though you're going to feel offended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've debated people, man. Listen, a Moorish American brother, very highly esteemed Moorish American brother, and I named the name, Sharif Anil Bey. He was so mad with me. He said, somebody asked him something on Facebook about me. He said, you know, when you go to the zoo, you feed the monkeys, you don't play with them. But he referring to me. This is a Moorish American.
Right.
I've never done that stuff like that. Eric Muhammad, from one of the, I think he in his own little world of NOI. You know what I'm saying? Man, he called me all sorts of monkeys. And I'm like, bro, it's information that
right. Yeah.
But anything you want to say in closing, brother?
Nah, that's it, brother, man. Once again, man, I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed you allowing me to present my information, man, and I appreciate the audience being receptive, brother.
Hey, brother, and I want you to know that continue to watch, see what's going on. Hit me up if I miss it, and you should be on sooner. You let me know, and that's when it's happening.
Okay,
that's when
right on, brother.
And family, this is Bro YouTube channel. Right there, I just put it in the link. Y'all need to go there and subscribe. Listen, even if you like the rah-rah of Brother Tahaka Bay and the calmness of Brother Kev is not your thing, go there and help the algorithms for those who do like the calm message, that they can see it flowing in the algorithms of YouTube. Because just because you might like the rah-rah, there's many of our people that learn other ways.
Right.
You know what I mean? They learn other ways. And we need all of us to get these messages out. We need all of us, family. So please go there and subscribe so you can, even if you say, well, you know what? I ain't really feeling that calm type of message. Man, you need to blaze them. That's all good. But please, just help me get in the algorithms. I appreciate you, big bro.
Yes, sir. Salute, brother.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, family, that was good. That was good one here. So, tomorrow, within the next 24 hours, they are going to be going crazy in the comment section. You know what I mean? Answer to the question I asked, that's because Jesus Christ says they're going to be going crazy in the comment section. So I'm going to be looking for you to be in the comment section to having that dialogue, family. I'm looking for you to be in the comment section to have that dialogue. Because I'm going to tell you, them Indians, they crazy like that glue. They crazy like that glue. I'm trying to tell you. They getting crazy like that glue. The Aboriginal Power, he was playing my video. I mean, he played every bit of it for 20 minutes and 30 minutes. He played it, and they were just giggling. They had fire emojis. I mean, they could have came to and watched it on Moore's Road TV. He wasn't even commenting. He was just playing the raw video. I was like, and they was just giggling. They were so tickled. I was like, just go watch it on Moore's World TV. And he wasn't even, I was like, man, unbelievable. Listen, if you can get Top Cat over here to debate me, I don't mind. I don't want to debate. I don't want to drag this out now. Now, I would debate like two people at some point. it's going to become redundant. You know how we know how. Anybody familiar with the conscious community? You know what I mean? It'll become redundant real fast because they'll start having the same talking points with pseudo scholarship, and that's just start repeating themselves. So we got to do it fast. So if somebody know Top Cat, tell them we can do it. You know what I'm saying? If somebody Aboriginal Power reached out to me, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to go all the way every week debating. I'll go every week refuting all that crazy information they've been putting out for the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? You're going to lose to whoever you debate on the Indian topic, dude. Okay, I hear you. I've heard that before. I've heard that before many a times. I guess we'll see about that. See, the difference is I don't think you're familiar with Moorish World TV. Obviously, you ain't familiar with me. You know what I mean? So, hey, don't let the laugh, don't let all of that, don't let that fool you. Obviously, you're not familiar with me, but hey, we'll see. And if they want to debate, they welcome to come on the show. And don't ask me to go to a platform that is up and coming. I mean, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ask me to bring my my influence to those who are trying to come up. Nah, I ain't doing it. You can forget it. They can come over here and we can drop their link. You know what I mean? They can drop their link, they can share their channel, they can build their channel. But I'm not going to bring my star power to a graveyard. I'm just not going to do it. I know my worth. I'm not bringing my star power to a graveyard. I'm not going to do it. Nope. You should debate a cartoon character. And his name is Let's Know He Is a Fake. I don't know what that means. But anyway, with that being said, family, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. We're going to try to be live tomorrow night also. I'm going to reach out to YK The Truth, see if I can get him on within the next few days. If he's interested, I would love to hear his presentation. I would love to get an Indian on, if not even debate, just put their facts to the table. Have a discussion. You know what I mean? I would love to see this. In fact, I'll reach out to Aboriginal Power, see if he just want to come and have a discussion. You know what I mean? And we'll just listen to him. And I don't know, man. Nah, they don't like they like overtalk. We need a debate. We need structure. We need the structure with this mess. You know what I mean? Because they just talk crazy. We're gonna need structure. But I'm of the thought though that that most of the people that is following this Indian stuff, they have not. Yeah, I debate Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway is not going to debate. Dane Calloway is not going to debate. So that's why I don't even mention him. He's not going to debate. Why would he debate? Listen, Dane Calloway got too much to lose if he's embarrassed in a debate. He's not going to debate. That wouldn't even make sense. That wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean? That wouldn't make sense for him to debate. Yeah, that wouldn't make sense for Dane Calloway to debate. He shouldn't debate nobody. He has made money hand over fist with this grift of this Indian thing, and Harriet Tubman didn't exist, and Nat Turner never exists. It's all make believe. He done made money hand over fist. He wouldn't debate. That wouldn't even make sense. I mean, it wouldn't even make sense. But with that being said, let's go. Let me play something old.
Never, never die.
Anybody remember that?
Down no more. They just slow-mo. 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 They just slow-mo.
See, I be coming at these Moors, and it's very simple. Why I be coming at these Moors? Because I don't consider these functional Moorish American Muslims as it relates to the teachings of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of
Just
America.
some lanes from across the border. You and your daughters, I mean your little followers. You all out of order. I ain't taking nada, nothing from you crooks. Cujo talks a beer, I got them all shook. I wish Cujo would step up to get his rep up and get hit up from the neck up. You gon' respect us. An elder once told me, meet the people where they at, and you lower than a worm, so you know you meet the tech. Let's keep it simple, more. I'm a temple more. Either you wanna talk knowledge or you wanna go to war. Cujo, I will drag you by your dreads till you beg. Detach your arm, leg, arm, head. Boy, you don't want these problems. I know the law well. The policy enforcers be the same ones you go tell. Now go and call them little lanes. Get on YouTube, let them little games talk tough like you bout that, and I'ma forget how far I came. I never forgot my aim, I never forgot my ammo. I pray to Allah, but I still tie my camel. Let's talk about this knowledge that you think you have. Matter of fact, forget it, boy. Don't make me laugh.
Down no more.
They just slow mo.
Down no more. They just slow mo. Down no more.
But
They gon' learn today.
That's right. But they
They
gon'
gon'
learn
learn
today.
today.
So now what you gotta say, huh? I broke the rules cause I'm a sheik and a Muslim and I'm talking about tools. Boy, you know the lessons. The tools are to refine and mine are reclined to workshop on your mind. You know about the hammer, make it a part of every part. And I wanna meet a law, so I'm aiming at your heart. You on at 720, I'm on a 12 step. I'm at the pinnacle of wisdom. So miss me with the threats. Mean mugging and cussing, boy, it don't mean nothing. Not going out like Malcolm, I'm going out busting. But I prefer discussion, authentic more science. Taj Tariq, baby, you know we straight line. Associating scams with the holy divine. Must have lost his mind, but I'm just the same blind. And it's about to catch you at any given moment. You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it, huh? Can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it?
I'm the king of the YouTube.
Can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it? Can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it? Can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it? Huh? Can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it?
6 million ways to die. Choose one.
Taj Tariq got y'all thinking
That's right, Golden Child.
in civic
Classic.
But never be the case. I never seen him in court approaching the bench. But people who follow him, they do this nonsense. He teach a right to travel. I never seen him whipping. He pointing the way, but doing something different. And y'all been hustled and scared to admit it. I'll be begging paid in fiat and call it fictitious. Y'all ridiculous. Falling for the pseudo. The right to travel ain't even worth a Cujo. All up in Canada, quoting U.S. law. Deaf, dumb, and blind, boy, you just lost. Down no more. They just slow mo. Down no more. They just slow mo.
See, I be coming at these Moors, and it's very simple. Why I be coming at these Moors? Because I don't consider these functional Moorish American Muslims as it relates to the teachings of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it? Look up, huh? Can't you see I'm on it? You looking at the throne, boy, can't you see I'm on it? Deaf, dumb, and blind, boy, you just lost, huh?